Two verbs. Two miserable verbs. Who do I think I am? I say I'll teach you Portuguese and then I give you two verbs after all this time. Sure, ser and estar are important verbs, but with all your hard work, you deserve a lot more. You are absolutely right, voice asking imaginary questions in my head. That's why I will grab a box full of verbs and empty it on your lap. All sorts of verbs. Red verbs, green verbs, blue verbs. Verbs that are sweet. Verbs that are sour. Verbs that taste like cheese. Verbs that taste funny and not in a good way. Okay, sorry, this preamble got out of hand and lasted too long. Portuguese verbs don't have colors or flavor, but you can still fit them in different categories. Before we get to them, remember that we will only talk about regular verbs today. Irregular verbs will come later, and some of those really have flavor, but it's never a flavor you'd like to taste. Am I joking again? Who knows? I certainly don't. Regular verbs are friendly verbs. In Portuguese, they are conveniently arranged in three endings: ar, and ir. Here's the present conjugation of verbs in ar. Andar, to walk. Eu ando, I walk. Tu andas, you walk. Ele, ela anda. He, she walks. Nós andamos, we walk. Vós andais, you walk. Eles, elas andam. They walk. Two things. First thing, remember it's andam and not andam. Second thing, I got a comment from a slightly outraged Portuguese person complaining because I told you, innocent foreign learners of Portuguese, to totally ignore the second person plural of verb conjugation, saying nobody uses it. Remember when I said that? No, that's because I didn't. What I did say was that you could ignore the second person plural if you wanted a shortcut, because it is only used in a specific region of Portugal and even there it's becoming less common. I also said you could do this, but I didn't recommend it. I maintain that opinion. You decide what you want to do. Going back to the verbs, we can isolate the endings from the rest. U, as, a, amos, ais, ão. If you take any other regular verb ending in ar, you can remove the final ar from the infinitive, add these endings, and you'll know how to conjugate all of them. Take the verb amar, to love, for example. Remove the final ar from the infinitive. Add the endings and conjugate away. Eu amo, tu amas, ele, ela ama, nós amamos, vós amais, eles amam. I'm not giving you the translation for each person of the conjugation anymore because you already know how this works and I trust your linguistic abilities. And don't go around telling people you love them. That's weird. Besides, the verb amar is not used in Portuguese as liberally as in English. More frequently, the verb gostar, to like, is used. Again, remove the final ar from the infinitive and add the endings. Eu gosto, tu gostas, ele, ela gosta, nós gostamos, vós gostais, eles, elas gostam. See, it's not that bad. One peculiar thing about gostar is that you can't add things you like immediately after the verb. It must always be followed by the word de, of. It doesn't make sense in English, that's just how it is. Try to remember it. Eu gosto bolo. Eu gosto de bolo. I like cake. Moving on to verbs ending in er, they work the same way. Remove the er from the infinitive and add the endings for each person. Did you notice? Yes, they are the same endings used for verbs in ar, but with an e replacing the a. Take the verb comer, to eat. Remove the final er and add the endings. Eu como, tu comes, ele, ela come, nós comemos, vós comeis, eles, elas comem. Another example, the verb viver, to live. Eu vivo, tu vives, ele, ela vive, nós vivemos, vós viveis, eles, elas vivem. Then you have verbs ending in ir. Are you expecting the endings to be the same but with an I instead of an E or A? It's a bit more complicated than that. Only nós and vós, the first and second person plural, take an I. The rest of the endings are the same as verbs ending in er. Abrir, to open. Eu abro, tu abres, ele, ela abre, nós abrimos, vós abris, eles, elas abrem. Note that the ending for the voz form, is, only takes one I, unlike the endings ais and eis. And the verb fingir, to pretend. Eu finjo, tu finges, ele, ela finge, nós fingimos, vós fingis, eles, elas fingem. Although these are regular verbs and you can apply to them the conjugation rule I gave you, one thing may happen. See how the first person singular of fingir becomes finjo with a J? That's because if it kept the G, the O after it would change the sound of the letter and it would be read fingo, hence the consonant change. This doesn't mean the verb is irregular. Another example is the verb erguer, to rise or to raise. Eu ergo, tu ergues, ele, ela ergue, nós erguemos, vós ergueis, eles, elas erguem. You can see the endings are the same as mentioned before, but there's an added U before the E, because if it wasn't there, you'd have to read ela erge and nós ergemos. These changes only happen in regular verbs to maintain a specific sound. Here are 3 examples for you to practice. Cantar, to sing. Eu canto, tu cantas, ele, ela canta, nós cantamos, vós cantais, eles, elas cantam. Perceber, to understand. Eu percebo, tu percebes, ele, ela percebe, nós percebemos, vós percebeis, eles, elas percebem. Abrir, to open. Eu abro, tu abres, ele, ela abre, nós abrimos, vós abris, eles, elas abrem. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. I'll teach you something rude in Portuguese. Ready? Here goes. Alguma coisa rude em português. Something rude in Portuguese. You're welcome.